Is the housing market going to crash? Well, a lot of people think it is, and they point to what happened in the housing market crash of 2008 to prove that something bad is coming down the pike. But are they right? Today, we're going to look at what happened in 2008. We're going to compare it to our market today, and we're going to see if we can figure out what might be happening moving forward so you can make the best decisions for yourself. This is Monday Mornings with Mark. Hi, I'm your host, Mark J. Schmidt of RE/MAX Country and MoveMeMark.com, where I help you get the most out of the real estate market and your home. If you're new here and you like what you see, be sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe, and be sure to hit that bell so you don't miss out. I started selling real estate in 2002, so I got to live through the crash of 2008. Let's take a look at what happened in the run-up to that crash in 2008 so we can better understand what we're up against now. Right off the bat, lending guidelines in the early 2000s were a lot looser than they are now. The federal government wanted to make sure that home loans were available to people who had low credit scores and people who were at a higher risk of defaulting on their loans. These people came to be known as subprime borrowers. Subprime borrowers were allowed to take out adjustable rate mortgages. So with these adjustable rate mortgages, they would start off at a low kind of teaser rate for the first 2 to 3 years, and then they would start adjusting after that based on what the prime interest rate was. So what wound up happening was a lot of these people were qualified at these low introductory interest rates. They weren't always trying to figure out, hey, will you still qualify for the loan once that interest rate goes up and starts adjusting? Many people also took out what became known as 80-20 loans. So if they didn't have any money for a down payment, the lender would give them 80% of the purchase price of the house to put down for their main mortgage, and then they would give them a second mortgage of 20% of the purchase price so they could complete the sale. What this meant was they were buying a house with zero money down. They had 100% financing. So they came in with credit that may not have been great, and now they were taking a loan with 100% financing. This would turn out to be a ticking time bomb. Once those adjustable rate mortgages started adjusting and they rose up from that low introductory rate, many borrowers found that the rate went up so high that the payment became too high for them to afford. Now, on top of that, the country itself was going through a financial meltdown, and that was just a recipe for disaster. These borrowers couldn't afford their homes, they had little to no equity in their homes, and the real estate market just had to tumble a little bit for them to be underwater or upside down on their mortgages. So when you're underwater or upside down, it means that you owe more on your house than you could sell your home for in the real estate market. This in turn led to short sales where people had to sell their homes and hope that the bank would take less than they were owed on it. And it also led to a lot of foreclosures. This in turn affected everybody else because when you had multiple homes that were being subject to short sales or being foreclosed on, it naturally would affect the rest of the homes on the market. Now, how does today's market compare to the market in 2008 when we had the crash? Well, in both markets, we have a lot of demand and we have low interest rates. Now, as you're probably aware, interest rates have come up a bit since the beginning of the year, but even that being said, they're still phenomenally low. You know, interest rates in the 80s were 17, 18%, and now we're looking at rates in the mid fives. So they're still historically low, and we do still have a good amount of demand. There's still a lot of buyers out there who are looking to buy a home. Now, the main difference between our market now and the market back in 2008 is one of fundamentals. The fundamentals of our current market are so much different than they were back in 2008. First of all, with the buyers who have come out, since there's been so much demand for these homes, as you're probably aware, a lot of homes have gone under contract with multiple offers on them. And I'm talking a lot of offers on them. This gave sellers the ability to really be quite choosy about who they picked to buy their home. So we found that a lot of the people who were winning these bids were buyers who had a good amount of money down, 10 to 20% down on that home, if not more. Many were buying cash, and most of them were actually buying with conventional loans. These were buyers who were less risky, they were more financially stable, and here's the best part. Since they were buying with a conventional loan, they had a fixed rate. That rate would be the same from the time they started with that loan to the time they finished it. They weren't going to be subject to an adjustable rate like those buyers took in the early 2000s that would go up after a while. So even if the interest rates had risen all around, those interest rates are staying exactly the same as when they originally bought. Now, one of the biggest differences between this market and the market in 2008 is that even if the market were to tumble, people who have purchased over the last couple of years have equity in their homes. They went and put a good amount of money down, not to mention the natural appreciation that's been happening in this market. But let's say there was no appreciation. They put enough money down, like I said, 10 to 20%, if not more, that if the market tumbled a bit, they would still have a buffer. That if they needed to sell, they could go sell their home, complete the sale, not have to get a bank involved, and not have to be subject to a foreclosure. The fundamentals are so much different now, and they're so much stronger that if something terrible should happen, we really should not see the same level of devastation that we saw in 2008. So based on this, I don't see a crash coming. The fundamentals are so different for this market compared to back then, I just don't see it happening. Will the air eventually be let out of the market? Absolutely. We've been riding so high for so long that eventually, I see things evening out a little bit, but I don't see an absolute crash coming. If you're looking to buy a home, it's still a great time to buy. If you're looking to sell your home, it's still a fantastic time to sell. There are still buyers out, and we really are lacking the necessary inventory for everyone to have a home, so it's still a fantastic time to sell. Now listen, if you have questions about selling your home or about buying a home or about any part of the real estate process, there's a fantastic resource. It's my website. You can find me at www.MoveMeMark.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you missed our last episode, I've got it right here for you. And here's another episode that YouTube thinks you should watch. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that circle and subscribe so you don't miss out. And I'll see you next time for more Monday Mornings with Mark. You have a great week.